Alright guys, when your car cranks but won't start, it often seems like the end of the world. You're stranded, late, and wondering what costly repair is next. Don't sweat it. I'm Dr. Cool Autofix, and I'm here to tell you that you can totally tackle this like a pro. In this video, I'm going to teach you the fastest diagnostic hotspots you can dive into and get your car running in no time. Make sure your battery has at least 12.6 volts before you even think about troubleshooting. Now, let's dive into the real deal. First up, we gotta make sure your engine's actually getting fuel. Think of it like this. You can't start a fire without kindling, right? So if there's no fuel reaching your engine, cranking won't do a thing. Could be something as simple as an empty gas tank. Hey, it happens. Or it could be a faulty fuel pump, a clogged fuel filter, or a bad fuel pressure regulator. Check your fuel gauge. Then listen closely when you turn the key to the on position. You should hear that fuel pump whirring to life. If it's silent, well, you might have found your culprit. If everything looks good there, you'll want to test your fuel pressure to make sure it's within the manufacturer's specs. Alright, let's say fuel's flowing, but your engine's still not firing up. Next suspect, the ignition system. This is what ignites the air-fuel mixture in your cylinders, creating that beautiful combustion that gets you moving. No spark, no boom. Now, a bunch of things can go wrong here. Your spark plugs could be worn out, your ignition coil might be toast, or the ignition switch itself could be faulty. So how do we check? First, pop the hood and take a look at those spark plugs. If they're covered in gunk, worn down, or smell like gasoline, they need replacing. While you're at it, check the ignition coil for any cracks or damage. And finally, give that distributor cap a good inspection for any cracks or corrosion. We've all been there. You turn the key, and all you get is a click, click, click. It's one of the most frustrating sounds you can hear when you're in a hurry or just trying to get somewhere. But what does it really mean? Is your battery completely dead, or is it just pretending to be? Sometimes your battery might have enough juice to crank the engine, but not enough to actually get it started. This can be incredibly misleading because it feels like the car is about to start, but it just doesn't have the power to get over that final hurdle. It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach. You might have the willpower, but without the necessary energy, you're not going anywhere. This is exactly what happens when your battery is low on charge. So, what can drain your battery's energy? There are several culprits that could be at play here. Understanding these can help you diagnose the issue more effectively. Well, it could simply be old age and needs replacing. Car batteries typically last between 3 to 5 years, so if yours is older than that, it might be time for a new one. Corroded battery terminals can also prevent that precious current from flowing. Over time, corrosion can build up and create a barrier between the battery and the cables, making it difficult for electricity to pass through. A faulty alternator might not be charging the battery properly, or you could have a parasitic drain somewhere in your electrical system. These issues can be tricky to diagnose but are crucial to identify. So, grab your trusty multimeter and check that battery voltage. This simple tool can tell you a lot about the health of your battery and whether it's holding a charge. Should be around 12.6 volts when the engine's off. If it's significantly lower, your battery might be on its last legs. If your battery's looking good, check the alternator's output. It should be around 14 volts when the engine's running. This ensures that your battery is being charged properly while you drive. Alright, we're getting into the serious stuff now. When it comes to engine performance, compression is key. Without proper compression, your engine simply won't run efficiently, if at all. If your engine lacks compression, it's like trying to start a fire in a windstorm. That air-fuel mixture won't ignite properly. This can lead to a host of problems, from poor fuel economy to complete engine failure. A blown head gasket is a common culprit, allowing coolant to leak into the cylinders and wreak havoc. This not only affects compression but can also cause overheating and severe engine damage if not addressed promptly. Worn piston rings, bent or stuck valves, a snapped timing belt or chain, all these can cause compression issues. Each of these components plays a crucial role in maintaining the engine's compression and overall health. So, how do we diagnose this? A compression test is your best bet. This test measures the pressure in each cylinder and helps pinpoint where the problem lies. You'll need a compression tester for this. You can rent one or have a mechanic do it for you. It's a relatively simple tool that can provide invaluable insights into your engine's health. Low compression in one or more cylinders is a sure sign of trouble. It indicates that there's a leak somewhere in the system. which could be due to any of the issues we've mentioned. Check your engine oil for any signs of coolant contamination. That milky, milkshake-like appearance is a dead giveaway of a head gasket issue. If you notice this, it's crucial to address it immediately to prevent further damage. Alright, let's talk about those sensors that keep your engine running smoothly. The crankshaft and camshaft position sensors are like the brains of the operation. They tell your car's computer exactly when to fire the spark plugs and inject fuel. If they're not working correctly, it's like trying to conduct an orchestra with a broken baton. Start by scanning for error codes. Most auto parts stores will do this for free. If you see codes related to the crankshaft or camshaft position sensors, you're on the right track. Next, visually inspect the sensors themselves and their wiring harnesses for any signs of damage or corrosion. And if all else fails, replacing the suspect sensor is usually a relatively inexpensive fix. You're trying to start your car, but it's like it doesn't recognize its own key. Talk about frustrating. This is where your car's Immobilizer system comes into play. It's designed to prevent theft, but sometimes it can cause more harm than good. So, what can trigger your Immobilizer system and prevent your car from starting? A damaged key fob or chip is a common culprit. Start by checking your dashboard for any warning lights related to the Immobilizer system. It might give you a clue as to what's going on. Try using your spare key. If that works, you know the problem lies with your original key. And if you're still stumped, a trip to the dealership or a qualified mechanic might be necessary to diagnose and reset the system. Just like we need air to breathe, your engine needs air to run. If your engine's not getting enough air, it's like trying to run a marathon with a plastic bag over your head. Let's check out the air intake system. A clogged air filter is a common culprit. It's like trying to breathe through a straw. A blocked intake manifold, a faulty mass airflow sensor or MAF, a stuck idle air control valve, or even vacuum leaks can all restrict airflow. Start by inspecting your air filter. If it's dirty, replace it. Next, check your intake manifold for any obstructions. If you suspect a faulty MAF sensor, you can try cleaning it with MAF sensor cleaner, but be gentle. We're getting deep into the electronic brain of your car now, the engine control unit, or ECU. This little computer controls everything from fuel injection to ignition timing, and if it's not working correctly, your car might as well be speaking a foreign language. Start by scanning for error codes. This can give you a general idea of what's going on. Visually inspect the ECU's wiring harnesses for any signs of damage or corrosion. If you suspect a software issue, a mechanic might be able to reflash or update the ECU's software. Your starter motor is responsible for cranking the engine and getting it spinning. It's like the muscle that gets everything moving. But even though the starter is cranking, issues within the starter system can still prevent your engine from starting. A worn-out starter motor can struggle to turn the engine over, especially in cold weather. Start by checking the starter wiring for any loose or corroded connections. If you hear a clicking sound when you turn the key, but the starter doesn't engage, try tapping on the starter motor with a hammer. You can also test the starter solenoid and ignition relay with a multimeter. You wouldn't put diesel in a gasoline engine, right? Well, even small amounts of contamination in your fuel can cause major headaches and prevent your car from starting. Water in the fuel tank, dirty fuel injectors, old or degraded gasoline, using the wrong type of fuel. All these can contaminate your fuel system. Start by checking your fuel for water contamination. You can do this by draining a small amount of fuel into a clear container and looking for separation. If you see water, you'll need to drain the fuel tank and refill it with fresh fuel. Using a fuel system cleaner can help remove deposits and improve fuel flow. So there you have it, guys. The top 10 reasons why your car might crank but won't start, and how to diagnose and fix them like a pro. We've covered everything from battery issues to fuel system problems, and even those tricky electrical gremlins. Remember, systematically working through these issues and using the diagnostic steps provided will give you the best chance of getting back on the road quickly. It's all about patience and precision. But hey, I get it. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, you might need a little extra help. Cars can be complex, and not every problem is straightforward. If you've gone through all the steps and you're still scratching your head, don't worry. It's perfectly normal to feel stumped. Don't be afraid to call in the cavalry. Sometimes a fresh set of eyes can make all the difference. A trusted mechanic can use their expertise and specialized tools to pinpoint the culprit and get you back on the road in no time. They have the experience and the know-how to tackle even the most stubborn issues. And as always, thanks for watching. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more awesome car tips and tricks. We have a lot more content coming your way, from maintenance tips to in-depth repair guides. This is Dr. Cool Auto Fix signing off. Stay safe out there and happy driving.